between these two teams in tournament play is even. The last time they got together, the ACC Tournament 5 years ago, Duke won it by 13. Dick Paparo, Frank Scagliotta, and Rick Hartzler are officials. Tony Massenberg and Ala Abdelnaby have us underway. And here we'll see the combination we talked about. Tall Walt Williams and Bobby Hurley at 6 feet if he's lucky.
Right away we see Duke coming out in their basic and fundamentals defense. They're going to overplay the passing lanes. They're really going to try to harass Maryland in the backcourt, particularly Walt Williams putting it on the floor, maybe the same size as Bobby Hurley.
Williams takes it all the way baseline, shot it too hard, but Mustaf on the backside can't get it either. Ricky got it, but slipped coming down, couldn't get it on the floor, and that'll be Duke's first turnover, and Maryland will have another chance.
And Brad, at the beginning of these sessions, earlier today, we talked about hot teams and how they would have an advantage coming in, but that's not necessarily so. Clemson, losing their last 2 games, beat Wake Forest and won 3 in a row. Virginia beat a Carolina team that beat Duke at Duke pretty handily. Duke comes in here losing 3 out of their last 4. Maryland won 5 or 6. So it remains to be seen who's going to have the upper hand.
Williams is 0 for 2, but they keep it alive again. And Tion McCoy will try it from way outside. McCoy with a 3.
McCoy, the leading 3-point shooter on this Maryland Terrapins team. Maryland's going to have to do just that. Spread the Duke defense. Keep the help side from coming over.
Anderson off balance, short. Mustaf a rebound. Williams again on the drive, and Hurley picks up the blocking foul.
Seems as though Maryland wants to go at Hurley right away. Hurley's the guy who stays on the floor most for Duke, and going at him puts an awful lot of pressure on him. Walt Williams, again, surprising quickness. Hurley can't get around to kind of shadow him.
Boy, great behind the back, but Mustaf missed it, and Massenberg does it. So Maryland jumps out early. 5-0 Terps.
Maryland looks to apply a little full-court pressure of their own. We mentioned Duke's got to get back to basics, and one of the things they want to be able to do is get to the people that they know can help them, particularly inside with Leitner and Abdelnaby.
Massenberg picks off the lob. Second turnover for Duke. McCoy on the other end. Too hard.
Both teams a little wild right now, a little out of control.
Williams goes one-on-one, puts it up. Martin follows it. I was going to say, I don't know if he wants to waste a timeout now, but he does. He's going to stop it with 1:46 into the game. We'll be back after this from our good friends at Natural Life.
Hi, it's me.
I'm in 2702.
I'll be right up.
Where there's good food and good times, it's only natural. Natural Life from Anheuser-Busch.
Jim!
You look great.
You look...
Thirsty.
Until recently, my job was a nice job. I made sure everyone in our company understood our insurance benefits package, especially me. But then they started to make all these new rules and regulations. Do you know what COBRA is? Let me tell you, it's not a reptile. And Section 89? No. I still haven't found anyone to explain that one. Oh, and then there's this thing called Tephra. It's funny. I used to think that was a shampoo.
Jefferson Pilot, Insurance and Financial Services. Some people think only foreign companies build quality cars. Now, according to an independent survey, an American car company offers you a choice of some of the most trouble-free cars you can own. That American car company is Buick. And the 1990 versions of those American cars are Buick LeSabre, Buick Riviera, and Buick Electra Park Avenue. We believe there's a new symbol for quality on the great American road.
Not even 2 minutes into the game, and Maryland leads 7-0.
Well, one of the luxuries the Terrapins have is that they have 2 guys who are really point guards. Walt Williams converted, but Tion McCoy is the natural point guard. Either way, these guys can penetrate and create a lot of pressure on the front line of Duke.
There you see the rebounding Maryland, and Duke has none. Duke's 0 for 1 in their shooting. They haven't had any opportunity to put it up because they had 3 turnovers already.
Duke's season high turnovers are 25, and it's against these Maryland Terrapins. One of the ways they've got to insert themselves in their power game, getting it inside, is really to get it over half court.
Ricky touches it for the first time tonight.
Yeah, step forward for this team. We talked about leadership, the fact that a freshman tries to lead this team, and there may be inconsistencies, but Ricky's a senior, and he's been inconsistent of late.
They double down on Massenberg. Martin picks up the loose ball. Hands it off from behind by Ricky, but Massenberg still finds a way to get it up. Christian Laettner with his second rebound. Good feed in low.
I think that timeout called by Mike Krzyzewski kind of settled his team down a bit. You know, they seem to be walking on eggshells when they're playing with the ball and handling the ball. Nevertheless, they come out now and they've regained control of this game. Defensively, they did a nice job of changing shots. Now coming over on the other end, they're starting to focus and hone in on what it is they want to accomplish, and that is get the ball inside. That's how they get to the free throw line so often, because they're always attacking the basket.
The only free throw shooter on the starting 5 for Duke under 70% is Robert Ricky, and he hits. As Gary Williams looks on, his team up 7-3. Ricky is senior out of Fayetteville. Rattled it around, and he's got 4. So 4 straight points for Duke.
Duke applying some full court pressure right there in a zone situation.
Nice spot by Mustaf, but Christian Laettner knocked it away.
You know, I don't think Duke is really convinced that the Maryland ball handlers are all that they're cracked up to be. They're going to apply that pressure throughout this game. But you got to remember, Maryland likes to play an up-tempo basketball game. They'd rather play full court than have to execute half court.
Mustaf, turnaround jumper from way out. Martin got the weak side rebound. Ricky held his ground.
We take a look at Jesse Martin right there. Nice job in offensive rebounding, but the problem is what he did with it once he got it. Now, the Duke team is a tournament-tested team. They're pretty tough. This Maryland team really only has 2 guys who have played more than 2 ACC games. That's Keon McCoy and Tony Massenberg. So the decisions that will be made by the Terrapins will be very important, particularly the inexperienced guys.
Ricky outside, and Ricky has 6. All of Duke's points, and they cut a 7-point lead down to 1. And there's just what you said. Not convinced that Williams can handle it against him, and Hurley strips it away, forces the turnover.
Well, particularly when Williams faces Hurley and tries to cross over. I mean, that makes him the same size as Bobby Hurley. He's going to have to bring it down and shield the ball with his body a bit.
So Duke with an opportunity to lead if they score. And they do. And Duke in front.
And the machine seems to be running a little more smoothly right now.
9 straight points against Gary Williams' Terrapins for the Duke Blue Devils. Early game of streaks. 7 and 9. And a 3rd turnover against the Terrapins.
Well, not having the ability to figure out what's going on at this point, the Terps have changed up ball handlers. That time Gerard Mustaf started to bring it up, and still no results. No good results.
Mike Krzyzewski's timeout looks like the best one of the season in the ACC so far here. Knocked away underneath. Williams got a hand on it. Ricky's finding some room down there in the baseline. 16-11 to go first half. 9-7 Blue Devils. In and out, and Massenberg clears off for Maryland. Boy lost it off his foot. He lost it off Ricky's foot. Back, they're going to call a foul on Ricky. Ricky picks up his first.
You take a look at Robert Ricky, his lateral movement, even with that knee in a brace, still is not what it once was. Going to his right is difficult for him.
Difficult for Massenberg, who goes to his right and scores his 4th point, and we are even at 9. Henderson, the jumper, goes off. Gustav goes off for Maryland, and here come the Terrapins running, as Glenn talked about. McCoy pulls up for three.
Exactly, Brad. That's just the way they want to play it, particularly in transition off the boards. They get the ball out as well as anyone, and once they get past the first wave of defenders, they're going to the basket.
Well, Maryland seesaws back in front by 3. Hurley tried to leave it for Abdelnaby. And on the pile-up, it'll still be Duke ball.
Good hustle by both Teon McCoy and Phil Henderson. Teon McCoy is outplaying Bobby Hurley right now, attempting to apply some pressure on the freshman.
Our first substitutions coming in. Vince Broadnax checks in, and so does Cedric Lewis.
Well, defensively, Broadnax and Cedric Lewis are mainstays for the Terps. Lewis, particularly with the shot blocking ability inside, look for the Terrapins to apply a little pressure of their own.
Kubak in is Davis for Duke. They both miss shots, but Henderson picks it up and scores.
Nice job by Duke staying with the boards. Maryland, one of the top rebounding teams in the ACC, continually keeps teams from getting second shots.
Williams cross courts to Broadnax. A double Massenberg. McCoy works down to the baseline. Duke hustling on defense.
Get a great opportunity to see how Duke helps everyone.
Massenberg foul going up.
What I mean by help is that wherever the ball is, the players are still with an eye on their men, pointing towards the ball. We'll take a look at it from ground level. Never has anyone turned their heads away from their men. People are always in a position to step up. You see Greg Kubek step across the lane to try to help out when the pass was thrown inside. The only way you can combat that is to spread your offense a little bit more. Have people with 15, 20-foot intervals to make the defenders have to run just that much further to try to help out.
Christian Leitner, a sophomore who slacked off a bit at the end of the year, but has shown flashes of brilliance all season long. And this guy, a senior, playing in his final ACC tournament, Tony Massenberg, who hits both free throws. Massenberg with 6, and Maryland with a 3-point lead.
Maryland now with their full court pressure. As I mentioned, Lewis and Broadnax, and that's what they look for.
Somebody got a piece of Kubek's shot in close, and Lewis pulls it down. McCoy misses that three-pointer.
He's not shy, let me tell you.
Guess not. Hurley leaves it over on the baseline for Davis, who flies up. Leitner follows it. Blocked. Maryland ball.
Duke doing a fine job of getting inside the Terrapin blockouts and inside people, but they're not converting on the offensive rebounds that they're getting. Here, after beating the full court pressure, Hurley does a nice job of penetrating, but watch inside, you've got the Maryland Terrapins poised after they give up the offensive rebound for the block, and Tony Massenberg with a nice job though.
McCoy runs it down in the corner and puts it up. Threes, still Maryland ball though. 14-11. Maryland in front with 13:45 to go first half. Possession arrow, by the way, is Duke's. Broadnax finally got it into Lewis. Lewis doesn't want to have to put it on the floor.
Shouldn't even want to bring it down, but he did and almost lost it.
Williams has it knocked away from behind. And Williams says Henderson knocked it away from behind, but instead it'll go to Duke. Maryland turnover number 4.
Gary Williams calling for a hold. It's not very often that you can get away with reaching from behind a guy and not having it called, but Duke did that time with a nice defensive play.
Early foul as he went up. That one's going to be on Teon McCoy.
You know, if the Terps are going to apply the type of defensive pressure and really get up chest to chest to Bobby Hurley, they're going to have to really kind of seal off once he penetrates, because the guy does so many things with the basketball, it's very difficult to determine what it is you want to take away from him.
Listoff comes back in. Massenberg will get a breather. Kubak went out for Duke, and Bricky re-entered the Blue Devil lineup. And Bobby Hurley at the free throw line, the ACC's 7th ranked free throw shooter.
You know, it's interesting that Duke with the deeper bench, particularly from a scoring perspective, hasn't really dipped into their bench nearly as much as Maryland has.
Hurley hits both. The first 2 points. And it cuts Maryland's lead again to 1. Nice ball movement by the Terrapins.
If there's any difference in the Maryland Terrapins in the second part of the season, that is when they are faced with that type of pressure, they're not going to back it out. They're going to attack.
Hurley went up, had it partially blocked, I think, by Lewis. Here come the Terps with a 3-point lead. Williams for 3.
And attack is what they do. There's no waiting, no setting up. If they get the defense spread, they're going to take over.
Maryland led by 7, then saw Duke go in front, and now we're back in front by 6.
Duke can't allow the fact that Maryland's been attacking the pressure and successfully can't allow it to deter them from their focus, and that's getting it inside, but they haven't been able to go to Abdelnaby or Leitner when Leitner was in the game. So Mike Krzyzewski's going to a little bit of a quicker lineup here.
I don't know if Abdelnaby's touched it more than once so far in the first almost 8 minutes of the ball game. Shot clock down to 8. Henderson, turnaround jumper. And Henderson has 7.
Terrapins sagging an awful lot. That's probably why Abdelnaby hasn't touched it. But Duke will pull that defense out with shots like that.
Mustaf on top and throw it away. Here comes Henderson. All the way in. Beautiful lead, or he tried to. Stolen away by Broadneck. So there's a pass. Walt Williams has got a smile about that one. Martin, the recipient of the assist. And it's 21-15, Maryland.
And it bears repeating. The Terrapins do not like the half-court setup type of game. They want to get out and they want to run and create things in a freelance situation.
Anderson really scoring here early. He has 9. And he's been the guy that Duke had said he and Bricky have got to score from the perimeter to give Duke a chance not only in the ACC tournament but in the NCAA. And he's answered the call tonight. Davis all over Martin. Lewis just double dribbled, I thought, but I guess not. Broadneck scores.
You got to give Cedric Lewis an awful lot of credit right there. Being guarded outside, too far away from the basket for his liking, by a guy with quick hands like Hurley. Still, he had the patience to recognize Broadneck's underneath.
So Maryland maintains a 6-point lead. Hurley on top. He's going to put up a one-handed shot that goes, and he's fouled.
They talk about a magician with the ball. And as I mentioned, Maryland's got to recognize they're going to give up something if they're going to play Hurley in a pressured situation. He penetrates and gets into the paint. Jesse Martin just a step too late. But you're going to have to bring someone else up to keep him from scoring, and that way it's going to create an open man for Hurley to hit.
So Martin picks up his second foul, and Hurley will go to the line with a chance for a 3-point play. If successful, it'll cut the Maryland lead to 3. 10.5 minutes to go first half. Brad Nessler and Len Elmore with you here at the Charlotte Coliseum, the 37th annual ACC Tournament. We've had some great action already in the afternoon session as Hurley hits the free throw, completes the 3-point play. It is 23-20. Maryland with a 3-point lead with 10:30 to go first half.
Mazda isn't shouting about its spring sales event. Not with values like this 626. With more room and a better basic warranty than Honda Accord, it's priced $966 less. And now get $1,000 cash back plus air or automatic at no extra charge. With up to $1,810 in value, we don't have to shop. But maybe we want to.
At your local Mazda dealers now.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
It seems like an eternity, but it's only a brief moment. The big shot from outside the three-point line. It could win the game. From this moment until Tuesday, Lowe's is having a special tournament sale. Get a bag of slow-release fertilizer for just $4.83. Bags of pine bark mulch, only $1.64 each. And azaleas in assorted colors, just 97 cents each. This Lowe's sale won't last long, but like the three-point shot, the results can be very rewarding.
Some great passing by the Terrapins their last 2 trips down court, Len.
Well, they certainly don't want to be stuck in a half-court situation. When they spread the floor and they start running, you get an opportunity for the guys who have the creative ability to use it. But here we gave Cedric Lewis a lot of credit. You see Bobby Hurley on him. Lewis doesn't want to handle the ball out there, but they catch Abdelnaby napping and take advantage of that.
Field goal shooting in the ball game so far. Both teams relatively even, and they'd both like to be much closer to 50, but so far an excellent ball game. 23-20, Maryland with the lead.
Well, the early tightness has something to do with the low field goal percentage shooting, at least for these two teams. But they started to heat it up now. Maryland's able to play their game. On the other end, Duke's playing their basketball game and getting the ball to the people they want on precise execution.
Massenberg, so tough over there on the baseline, and he has 8. During halftime, we'll have the Mazda game summary. A look at first half action. And it's been brisk so far, 25-20 Maryland. Nice pass cross court. Davis flies in.
Well, with the quickness of Davis out there on the front line, what happens is the Terrapin matchups aren't to their advantage anymore. They've got Massenberg and they've got Mustaf in there. One of them is going to have to cover the quick Davis or the quick Hill.
Double team on the baseline on Mustaf. Get it back out. Boy works on Hurley. Here's Martin's jumper. Martin's got 6.
Jesse Martin's come a long way. He began as a center in high school. He's developed his outside game over the last 2 years.
Hurley, a little bit out of control, but Leitner will follow it. He can't get it either. They'll get another chance. Leitner fouled. I believe it'll be on Massenberg. Tony picks up his first foul.
Well, it's a tough foul for Tony Massenberg. I think he recognizes the error of his ways, and that is to try to step in underneath Christian Leitner. You want to stick your hand up in the air and contest it, but you don't want to give him a free 2 shots from the free throw line, and that's what he did on that one.
Duke, the top free throw shooting team in the ACC. As we said at the top of the show, the difference in the 2 games in the regular season between these clubs, free throw shooting. Leitner is the best in the business at it. The best in the ACC, that is. You see 85 plus for the sophomore out of Angola, New York.
Right now it's the 7th attempt. That's almost 3 times as many opportunities at the free throw line as Jesse Martin's called for a double dribble. It's almost 3 times as many opportunities from the free throw line that Duke has as opposed to Maryland, who's 2 for 2.
Maryland with their 6th turnover comes with 9:07 to go in the half. And the Blue Devils can cut it to 2 and do.
Robert Brickey has shown that despite everyone's belief that the guy can't shoot from outside, he's worked on it enough where he's very confident from 15, 18 feet.
Talked about senior leadership. Henderson has 9, Brickey has 8. So they have 17 of Duke's 25, and we have a foul. It'll be on Brickey. Brickey picks up his 2nd. Maryland with a 2-point lead. Martin goes out. It's Broadnax, Massenberg, Mustaf, McCoy, and Williams for Maryland. Duke with McCaffrey, Leitner, Hill, Brickey, and Henderson. Entry pass tipped away by Leitner.
Well, that time Maryland recognized Walt Williams being guarded by Phil Henderson. Williams had Henderson on his back inside the lane, and the pass intended for him was tipped away.
Tony Massenberg, that's his shot, but he doesn't get it. Abdelnaby high for the rebound and was fouled as he got it. Gerard Mustaf picks up his first. Now everybody of the starting 5 for Maryland has at least one personal. Billy McCaffrey now works the point. Leitner back out. Henderson over Broadnax. It goes. I believe that's Henderson's, isn't it? Or did Abdelnaby get a piece of it?
I don't believe Abdelnaby touched it.
So Henderson's in double figures. The lob.
Brad, both teams doing a great job of recognizing where they have the advantage in each team's man-to-man defense.
So just as quickly as Duke tied it, Maryland goes back in front by 2. Leitner comes up short and a foul inside.
The point I was making is that each team recognizing that they have an advantage inside for Duke. They really haven't been able to get the ball there, but Phil Henderson is doing a nice job of getting open regardless of who's playing him. So they've been going to him pretty much. On the other end, though, Maryland recognizes that Walt Williams is being guarded by Phil Henderson, and they're using just about everything in their repertoire to shake Henderson loose from Williams, utilize his height advantage.
Leitner with 1 point, 1 out of 2 from the line. Averaged in double figures in both points and rebounds in ACC competition. Overall, 16 points, 9.5 boards a game. So Leitner with an opportunity to tie it up. And we're even at 29 as Leitner has 3 points on the night with 7:49 to go in the half. 29 apiece. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Busch Gardens.
A day in the old country. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Spend an extraordinary day with your family, discovering all the excitement and pageantry of Italy, England, Germany, and France. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. All the fun of Europe, only closer.
If you're like me, you appreciate value, whether it's in fine shine or a luxury car. That's why you should explore the values available now at your Buick dealer. Regal is Buick's best-selling coupe. Century, the best-selling Buick sedan. 2 ways to discover the value of Buick. Ranked among the most trouble-free American car companies. Lots of dealers promise value, but they're not selling Buicks. Cash in on quality now during Buick's Great American Quality Days.
When you attend a basketball game, you always find team mascots. Food Line has decided we need a mascot too, like a nice, friendly lion, to represent the extra low prices you always get when you shop at a Food Line store. So I've asked my wife, Martha, to audition lions to find one she feels will work well with me in these ACC commercials. Honey, have you found the perfect mascot? Martha, maybe we should let someone else audition the lions.
We are tied at 29 with 7:49 to go in the first half.
At the top of the show, Brad, you and I tried to illustrate the problems that Walt Williams presents in the backcourt at 6'8". What that does is allow Maryland to play on the level that they want, and that's above the rim. And here we see a great shot from the camera people that we have of Walt Williams with that dunk. Maryland can do so many things without putting it on the floor as long as Williams is out there and being guarded by a guard.
Rebounding in Maryland's favor. The score tied. Earlier winners today, Clemson advanced and Virginia advanced. Clemson beating Wake Forest, Virginia with a mild upset over North Carolina. Mustaf flies in, doesn't get it off the glass. Hill clears it off ahead to Henderson. He tried to pop it for Leitner and it's stolen away. Broadnax. And it won't go, and he's fouled. McCaffrey will pick up the personal, his first.
Duke normally an excellent transition team, regardless of whether they're going from defense to offense or vice versa. But Maryland pushing it up as quickly as they can, are getting people to run the lanes, and they're running them wide enough so that it makes it very difficult for the Duke defenders to catch them and get in position. McCaffrey just could not get into the position that he wanted to take the charge from Broadnax. And one of the reasons is Broadnax ran so wide before receiving the ball. That's the way you run a fast break.
Broadnax known as the defensive stopper for Maryland, but he's done some offensive work tonight. 5 points, now 6 to help Maryland out to a 2-point lead once again. Jesse Martin will check back in. Broadnax will get a breather. One-man pressure by Tion McCoy. Here comes a half-court trap. Early splits right through, but lost the ball. And then picks up the foul to boot.
When we mentioned leadership out there on the floor, you have a freshman leading you. You're going to make some decisions that may not be the right ones. Here, Hurley, against the zone type of pressure, decides he's going to try to split and penetrate. Maryland players are reaching from behind, and Hurley compounds his error in judgment with another error by fouling right there in the backcourt.
His second personal. Williams for 3. His second 3 of the night. 8 for Williams, and it's back to a 5-point Maryland lead.
Maryland did exactly what we talked about in spreading the floor. No one could get back to Williams. Once Hurley helped out, he couldn't get back in time to Williams before Williams buried that shot.
Leitner and Abdelnaby both without a field goal so far in the game.
Just a little too soon. Speak a little too loud, I think. They heard you out there.
Ala with his first basket. Maryland by 3.
Maryland's been able to take that away by fronting the 2 of those guys.
Tion McCoy, who spent last night in the hospital, still out there playing at the point. Williams in low off the glass. And he's in double figures.
And he's being guarded by Bobby Hurley. And again, Maryland going right at it, going towards the weak spot in the Duke defense.
Leitner tried to cross-court it. Maryland jumps and steals it. Here they come 2-on-1. McCoy missed the layup. Henderson brings it off for Duke.
McCoy also missed Jesse Martin wide open. Could have dished it off.
Hurley had it blocked by Massenburg.
And look where the outlet pass gets to at half court. Right now, Duke did a nice job of getting back, but more times than not, Maryland's been able to get inside by getting that first pass out to half court.
And another foul as Williams drove in. It'll be on Leitner. That'll be his first. Bobby Hurley out there is a little bit frustrated right now. Bricky has been one of the stable influences for Duke, along with Phil Henderson. People sometimes forget that young man's just a freshman. He's going to make mistakes.
And it's so hard for people to realize, if you look at the skills that he has, that his knowledge of the college basketball game is essentially limited to this season. And the more he learns, the more decision situations he's in where he's faced with making the right judgment, the better he's going to be, if that's possible, because the guy's got consummate point guard skills right now.
Williams has a dozen. And Maryland back to a 7-point lead. That matches their biggest lead of the ball game. McCaffrey, Bricky, and Hurley in the backcourt for Duke. Henderson and Abdelnaby. So a smaller lineup for the Blue Devils against Martin, Lewis, Massenburg, McCoy, and Williams.
Duke's got to find some advantages of their own, and the way this Maryland team is running, they need the quickness to get back on defense. Maryland
with 3 steals in Duke's last 4 trips down court and another foul. Gary Williams says that's exactly the way we planned it. Foul's going to be on McCaffrey as second.
We talked about the quickness in getting back. Phil Henderson gambles a little bit. Bricky with a nice block, but all to no avail. Again, the Terrapins are getting into the paint, and usually it happens off a turnover or off a rebound where they can get the ball out quickly to half court on the dribble or off the pass, and that creates an advantage situation that they've been very happy to exploit.
Here's the guy of the night so far. Williams with a dozen, now 13. His career high was against North Carolina this year, 33 points.
I was just going to mention, it seems faintly reminiscent of the game that he had against Carolina, where he took the pressure and did the right things with it. He got the ball and pushed it up and attacked the half-court defense of North Carolina and really just did everything on his own. So it was very successful.
He's on a pace to match that kind of night. He keeps it up. He has 14 points, and it's the biggest lead of the night for Maryland. 9-point cushion. Ricky leads it over. Davis had it pinned on the glass by Lewis, and then he's fouled on his second time up. Williams got it. That'll be Williams' second foul.
Davis with a great job. Once the ball is passed to him by Bricky, a great job of perseverance. But I tell you, that block by Cedric Lewis sends a calling card. Many times, you know, the message is almost subliminal, but when you take the ball to the basket and you know Lewis is in the game, or even if he's not, you start looking around, and that takes your focus off the basket.
Lewis already has a couple of blocks in his time on the court. Davis can't connect. Davis 5 times in double figures on the year. He's a sophomore out of Capitol Heights, Maryland, 6'6". Duke at 80%. Maryland hasn't missed from the stripe.
Maryland with 7 attempts. They've been taking the ball to the basket probably more so than they have been in previous games against Duke.
8-point Maryland lead as we approach the 5-minute mark of the first half. McCoy lost the handle out of bounds. Maryland picking up their 7th turnover. McCoy, who, as we said, spent last night in the hospital and got a lot of rest and a lot of fluids. We thought it was just the flu, but Mike Anderson, the backup point guard, told me before the game that 3 of the players he thought had food poisoning, or at least they were told it was probably something they ate and it was that bad. Hurley for 3.
Was it here in town? We got to stay away.
I don't know. We're not going where they ate if that's a problem. Back to a 5-point Maryland lead with Hurley's 3-pointer. Martin almost walked with it. Davis with some good defense.
You can just see fundamentally Duke so sound on their half-court defense.
Martin has it swatted away by Abdelnaby.
Constantly helping, constantly playing the passing lanes, forcing the opponent to give up the ball.
They got a good shot, Massenburg from 15, but it doesn't go, and Duke can cut further into the lead. Henderson all by himself. Rebound off to Martin. Here comes Williams, who's been tireless tonight. In low, Massenburg's double team. Triple team now.
See, the Duke defense isn't even allowing the guys who spot up for Maryland ready to shoot the jumper to get the jumper off because they're right there in their faces.
Williams creates something for himself, but it doesn't drop for him, and back comes Duke. Davis flying in. Doesn't get it, nor does Bricky, and then they come down 2-on-1 on the rebound and walk with it.
Mike Krzyzewski can't be upset with that. That's a hustle play. He's got to be happy his boys are on the boards.
3:27 to go in the half, and it's Maryland out in front of the Blue Devils of Duke, 40-35.
Today, U.S. Air pumped 3 million gallons of fuel, cleaned 47,000 seats, swept 400 aisles, and showed 175 little boys and girls to the restroom. We served 50,000 meals, 56,000 soft drinks, and cleaned up 250 spills. We checked 260,000 bags, flew 170,000 people, and said thank you about 500,000 times. And you know what? It's still not enough. Thank you. U.S. Air, America's most frequent flyer.
Dear Jenny, you're so neat. I don't usually pour my heart out like this. I'm mesmerized. Your effervescent charm. My passion for you will never be quenched. I will always thirst for your companionship.
Oh, Jenny, you must feel so special. I feel like a Pepsi.
Mazda isn't shouting about its spring sales event. Not with values like this 626. With more room and a better basic warranty than Honda Accord, it's priced $966 less. And now get $1,000 cash back plus air or automatic at no extra charge. With up to $1,810 in value, we don't have to shop. But maybe we want to.
at your local Mazda dealers now.
40-35 here at the Charlotte Coliseum. The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Raycom Sports and Entertainment and JP Sports. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of Raycom and JP Sports is prohibited. Brad Nessler and Len Elmore with you here in the 37th annual ACC Tournament. And there's how it looks on the night. So you've got to look at Abdel Nabi. Only one basket on the evening, and Leitner has only 3 points, and it's well off their pace.
That's certainly not the way Duke wants to play basketball, but only 5 down tells you that they've had some people do a job from the perimeter, and hopefully if they continue to do that, that'll loosen that tight Maryland defense, which is more or less smother their people inside.
Whistle on the rebound and a foul on Lewis. And Lewis, in his frustration, just about decked Bobby Hurley. Didn't know he was there, I don't think. So Lewis picks up his first foul. Mustaf checks back in. He has yet to score. But the slack's been picked up by Martin with 6, Massenberg with 8, Broadnax with 6, and Walt Williams, who has 14. 40-35 Maryland. Just over 3 minutes to go first half. And Greg Kubak will go to the free throw line, 68% free throw shooter. He started 11 games this year, most of those when Ricky was down with a knee injury. Kubak, a 6'6" junior out of Clifton Park, New York. He can cut it to a 3-point Maryland lead. Hurley with a little backcourt pressure on Williams. Hurley has a couple of fouls.
You see Williams, when he brought it up, he used his body to shield the ball. He gave Hurley one chance to take it from him when he faced him, and he did.
Great pass in low to Massenberg, and a jump ball. Possession arrow is Duke's. Bobby Hurley got down low.
And that's the key. He got down low because Tony Massenberg brought the ball down low. Once you receive a ball on a loud pass like that, all you have to do is keep your arms extended and lay it in the basket. You bring it down, you make yourself the same size as Bobby Hurley, even if you're 6'9".
Yeah, I should have said Massenberg got down low. Hurley was just standing up. Davis open outside, doesn't take it, and cross courts it to Hurley. Hurley with another flying prayer, and it goes in. He's got 10. Williams tries to answer on the other end, and he has 16.
Well, Walt Williams essentially has carried Maryland throughout adversity. When they've had trouble defensively and started trading baskets, or when they need a basket, it's Walt Williams that they call on.
Kubak lights it up. That's a 2-pointer.
On the other end, though, Duke's still fairly balanced. They've had Phil Henderson hot at times. Now it's Greg Kubak who's starting to get more involved in the offense. More than enough to compensate for the loss of Leitner on offense.
We're just under 2 minutes as Leitner knocks it away again, and he's deflected several would-be assists tonight. Mike Anderson comes in for the first time, and Tion McCoy will sit down, and both not feeling the greatest tonight. Mustaf lost it going up, and Davis couldn't quite track it down before it hit the baseline stripe.
One of the things that the Maryland big people seem to have trouble with is catching the ball inside and turning and recognizing what the defense is. You know, they're making up their minds right away and putting it down, and that's when they're getting it slapped away. Turn and recognize where the defensive players are. You're double and triple team. Somebody's got to be open.
I was going to say, they'll find, in most instances, at least 2 people on them. I mean, Mustaf and Massenberg, that is.
Especially if they're spotted up far enough so that the guys who help out on the double team have trouble getting back.
There's the double, but Mustaf uses the left hand, doesn't get it, got his own rebound, still can't get one, and Leitner pulls it off for Duke.
Mustaf is frustrated right now.
Duke can lead if they score. They don't, but Henderson's fouled. And Henderson says, let me take just a little breather. We had one major collision under that basket earlier today, and we should update you if you may have seen the Wake Forest-Clemson game, and you saw the big pileup as Kitley and Cash and McQueen went down, and I'll get back to that in a moment.
Well, Henderson just gets the ball in nice shape inside. Duke doing a nice job of now turning Maryland turnovers into their advantage by getting that down a lot quicker in transition.
Henderson at the line. First trip to the free throw line. That mentioning Derek McQueen was in the hospital earlier and had a concussion, but he's all right, doing well. Bobby Kremen's Yellow Jackets play Jim Valvano's Wolfpack coming up in the second game tonight.
That's about as relaxed as you're going to see him all night.
It's the only time he'll sit down, probably.
Tie undone, dry shirt, hair all in place.
Touch foul on Thomas Hill. So Duke in front, 43-42 for Mike Krzyzewski, but it took much of this half to get the lead. They've had a couple of one-point leads, and that's it.
Mike Krzyzewski not satisfied, continues to pull levers, pulls Thomas Hill over to the side to talk to him, particularly about guarding Walt Williams in a one-on-one situation.
We've had 23 free throws in this game. 21 of them have been successful between these two clubs, and Williams keeps that torrid pace going as he now has 17 points. Ala Abdelnaby giving a little senior leadership and advice to Thomas Hill over on the Duke bench.
See Vince Broadnax and Cedric Lewis replacing Gerard Mustaf and Jesse Martin, primarily to keep them from picking up unnecessary fouls in the last minute and 37 seconds. Gary Williams can live with being behind or being up a few points, but he's going to definitely have to call on Gerard Mustaf, who really hasn't given him an awful lot offensively. He's hoping that he'll be able to call on him later on in the game.
Boy, we talked about free throws, Lenny, at the top of the show, and it has really come to pass. Maryland's perfect 10 for 10. Duke's 13 out of 15, and you see with those numbers we have a one-point game. Under a minute and a half to go first half. Knocked away. Duke will still have it. So Christian Laettner will inbound. Laettner without a field goal so far tonight.
But, you know, he's still in the game. Defensively, he's doing some things that are nice. On the offense, he's really not forcing anything.
He is rebounding, too. Had another, but lost it. Kubek fouled. It's going to be on Broadnax.
Tony Massenberg was hammered inside.
And Tony's down.
Ball goes up, as you mentioned. Laettner not forcing anything, still in the ball game, gets nice position, but he too brings it down, allows Mike Anderson to root underneath him. See if we can see what happens. I think
the block shot hit him in the eye, I think. So one of his own teammates' rejections has floored Tony Massenberg. Gonna get another look, Len.
See the block here, and gets a right cross.
It was the follow through, not the ball. And it is puffed up badly. The right eye of Tony Massenberg with a welt on the eyelid. Boy, this is NASCAR country, and we've had more pileups so far in the first day of action in the ACC tournament than you usually see in a whole season of basketball.
Well, you heard it said many times, it's tournament play. These are the things that accentuate that particular phrase.
Tony Massenberg still has not opened that right eye. You see it's puffed on the eyelid.
Tony Massenberg being a senior in this program, he's gone through an awful lot in his 4 years here. This is one opportunity that if he ever has a chance to get out there on the floor and has any ounce of strength to play out here, he's going to be out there.
Coming up after this game, our second action of the night. It'll be the third-seeded Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and number 6 North Carolina State Wolfpack. And that should be a beauty as well. So play halted here with 1:06 to go. First half, Maryland leading 44-43, and one of their leaders, Tony Massenberg, who has 8 points on the night, still can't get that right eye open. You can see that both eyes are tearing on him a little bit, and just having a hard time finding a way to get that one open. We've probably seen the last of him for the half, and 66 seconds from now, he'll have a halftime to try to get the right eye to work.
He's shaking his head and giving the okay sign, particularly up in the crowd. Maybe some family members are there, but as you mentioned, with 1 minute and 6 seconds left, Gary Williams is not going to take too many chances.
Meanwhile, it's Kubek at the line for 2 shots. Kubek has 5 points.
On you go.
Checking in for Tony Massenberg was Everett Burns, a freshman.
Kubek will try to hit his 4th in a row. He has 6 points. And Duke's back in front by 1. Walt Williams checking back in. He'll bring it up against Phil Henderson.
Williams certainly had to come in because if you look out there on the floor, he and Tion McCoy are the only real sources of offense.
Brian Davis picks up a foul trying to steal the ball from Broadnax. Mike Anderson now checks in for Maryland. The Brian Piccolo Award winner for the football season. And there's Tony Massenberg still trying to somehow clear his vision. I'm sure he'll be back in time for the second half. Free throws, how about those numbers?
Well, Duke was somewhat of a good advantage, 7 more. It's about to be 6 right now with Broadnax's first attempt.
And Broadnax is 3 for 3 from the line.
Maryland doing a better job than they have in the first 2 games of getting the ball inside and also attacking the basket, getting the Duke defenders out of position so that they do foul, and that's usually how you create fouls, by getting the defender out of position.
Broadnax, excuse me, Len.
I was going to say, Gary Williams doing a nice job playing the game, getting Williams on offense, and then putting Mike Anderson in on defense when he had the opportunity.
Hurley got the pass to Leitner, no basket. Foul on McCoy before the shot. That'll be the second on Tion McCoy. Let's watch Bobby Hurley push the ball up court and go through some dangerous traffic.
Well, this is what we talked about when we said making decisions. You know, you have to realize that Bobby Hurley probably has great confidence in his abilities. That time he did a nice job of kind of weaving in and out. But more times than not, you know, once you get in that open area in the middle and you know people are trailing you, you got to make a decision to maybe stop and set up and find somebody open. Hurley does a nice job, though, of penetrating and dishing no matter what the floor is, and particularly with a broken floor.
Leitner can't connect.
Here we have Williams back on the offensive end, handling the ball.
Leitner has 2 of the 3 missed free throws between 2 teams, and he's the top free throw shooter in the conference. Williams got up in the air and got it to Broadnax, who got leveled in the lane. Foul will be on Kubek. That'll be his second.
Brad, when I mentioned the only real sources of offense are Walt Williams and Tion McCoy, what that means for Maryland is they have to be oh so careful and precise in how they execute their half-court offense. That time they did a nice job of taking some time off the clock, setting picks, getting people open to receive the passes until they were ready to go to the basket. Walt Williams got his hands on the ball. He made the penetration. He made things go because right there with the lineup they have out there, he is the man.
Early back in after some words from Mike Krzyzewski, and Davis sits down. Broadnax has 4 times as many points already in the first half as he had in the 2 previous regular season games combined. He had no points in the first matchup between the 2, and then he had 2 points in the second game, that overtime Duke win. And tonight he has 9, and he's perfect from the line. Double figures for Broadnax. Terrapins by 3 as we're down to 26 seconds. You see the game clock in the corner of your screen.
Duke most certainly is going to hold it for the last shot.
If they score, they can do no worse than being down 1 at halftime. If they hit a 3, we'll be even at the break. Hurley out to Kubek, who's been hot. Kubek ties it up with just over 2 seconds to go with the half.
Brad, that was a big break for Maryland, at least coming out of here. The clock running down, them not getting the ball out of bounds quickly enough, but the net was tied up in the rim, and that forced the clock to stop, allowed Maryland to set something up, see if they get an opportunity to get a shot at the basket.
Williams, 50-footer, no good, and we are even at halftime. Gary Williams takes his Terrapins to the locker room, even with the number 2 seed in the ACC tournament. It is Duke 48, Maryland 48. The excitement of the Charlotte Coliseum. We're at half.
It's Maryland, because Duke is shooting almost what they shoot during the regular season, which is 49%.
You see the free throw shooting, 29 out of 32 between the 2 clubs. Individually on the night, leading scorer for Maryland is Walt Williams, who we spoke of, with 18. And there you see Gerard Mustaf, nothing. Massenburg has 8. And on the other side, Hurley and Henderson with 23, and Bricky between them, and Bricky with 8 more. And the bench scoring relatively even, and so is the halftime score. Couldn't be more even. 28 apiece at the break. So Maryland tried to surprise Duke, but we have a long way to go. Gary Williams' team looking for their 19th win and hoping for an NCAA tournament bid. This would do it if they can pick up the Duke Blue Devils. Virginia already more than likely in by virtue of their victory over North Carolina this afternoon. The other win went to Clemson over Wake Forest. And here we go, second half of the first game of the night session.
As I mentioned, look for Maryland to try to get Gerard Mustaf off a bit some way or another, and that's one good way.
They got it to him in the first 12 seconds.
You know, what you want to do is you got your main man, and he really hasn't scored any points in the first half. You want to get him started right away to build some confidence. It's the easy shots that allow him to do that, and you may have to set him up. Maybe he has difficulty making his own shot. Does a nice job there by getting him the ball a foot away from the basket, forcing him to be fouled.
Gerard, you're talking about a guy who had 35 points in the second matchup with Duke in that overtime game, and he had 51 between the two games, and there's his first point of this night.
Brad, turnabout is fair play. I have a feeling that once Duke gets the ball in their front court, they're going to try and do the same thing with Abdel Nabi and Leitner. Try to explore them a bit.
Loose ball. It'll be controlled by Duke.
Leitner was moving towards that ball in a high-low situation with Abdel Nabi being fronted. Leitner hoped to receive the ball on the free throw line and dump it down into Abdel Nabi.
Shots, no good. Rebound kept alive by Martin, and then he walked with it.
And Gary Williams has just exploded off the bench, signaling a push sign. He believes that Henderson pushed Martin on that.
First turnover of the second half. Maryland had 8 in the first half. Leitner set to inbound. And Maryland with a 2-point lead.
Abdel Nabi really physical inside, doing an awful lot of pick setting, physical pick setting.
And Duke with their first turnover of the second half. They've got 10 for the game. Tony Massenburg out there with a swollen eye. Williams, that's one of the first things he's missed tonight.
Did a nice job, though, using Hurley's aggressiveness against him and going back door.
Nice pass by Hurley to Henderson, but the ball partially blocked.
By the rim.
By the rim.
Tony Massenburg changed the shot, but Henderson ran right into the rim.
Martin pulls up. And then he's fouled, trying to run down his own rebound. He's a second personal on Henderson.
Phil Henderson all over the place, but he's doing a lot of reaching from behind. And as I mentioned before, more times than not, you're going to be called for the foul. He's going to have to maybe temper that just a little bit and play some more honest defense.
Got to be almost perfectly clean to not get a foul call when you come around from behind like that. And Williams stepped on the line.
That was pretty honest defense right there. Chest to chest to Walt Williams, not giving him any room, forcing Williams to step back and out of bounds.
Duke looking to tie it at 50. Ricky bangs one off the back of the rim, and here comes Martin against Hurley. Hurley's going to pick up his third foul.
We mentioned before, the thing that gets a fast break going and makes it successful is getting the ball on the first pass to half court. And that's what Tion McCoy does to Jesse Martin. Now it's all Martin and Hurley, and we see the results of it.
So Martin will go to the line. His first trip to the free throw line. 6 points and 7 rebounds for Jesse Martin in the first half. He's had a strong game.
A little more subdued Gary Williams there, taking all of this in. Quite a contrast from a moment ago when the call was made against his team.
And Martin with both free throws has 8 points. And it's a 4-point Maryland lead.
Maryland sticking to their game plan of sagging on Leitner and Abdelnaby, forcing Bricky and Hurley and Henderson to shoot the ball.
They forced Bricky to shoot that one, and he didn't get it. And back come the Terrapins in a hurry. Martin, that's a tough shot, right-handed, flying to the left side, and no good, and a whistle and a foul on Tony Massenburg.
Well, it's almost as though Hurley learned something from the last time. Great job of cutting off the angle from Jesse Martin. We'll see him here take the angle away, forcing Martin to his weak hand and away from the basket, rather than the last time allowing him to go to his strength using his right hand. So that's what we mean. The freshman learns very quickly.
Forces Martin into kind of a situation of a quarterback trying to throw across the field, going to his left. And Duke back with a chance to cut it down to 2. Lubeck off the front of the iron. Leitner tried to save it and ends up with a pretty good seat over there, really. Have to pay a lot of money to sit over there.
Well, as we mentioned before, even though Christian Leitner isn't doing as well as he would like offensively, he's still in the basketball game, still hustling and doing the things his team needs to have to win.
Williams, that one goes up and over. 17:47 to go in the ball game, and Williams was cooled off a little bit at halftime. He had 18 in the first half.
Smoking the peace pipe right here.
We'll see if it does any good. No field goals in the second half for Maryland, and only 4 points on Martin and Mustaf on the line. Abdelnaby backs in, took one over Massenburg, a whistle and a foul, and Massenburg will pick up his 3rd.
Now, what I like about the Duke offense is that they're not forcing it into Abdelnaby or Leitner, not force-feeding them. They're still running their offense and staying within the framework of their offense. And if it's there, both Abdelnaby and Leitner will take it. That time, they caught Tony Massenburg behind Abdelnaby without a help situation, and Abdelnaby decided to take it to the basket.
And send these guys to the free throw line if you can, Leitner and Abdelnaby, because Abdelnaby is almost a 78% free throw shooter as well. You see Tony Massenburg's right eye is only about half open, and he continues to try to blink to get some vision, and that hasn't helped his second half play, you can bet.
Sitting behind the Maryland bench is Sugar Ray Leonard, and I wonder if Tony Massenburg went over there to talk about getting these cuts fixed up here.
Ray'd have to reach to get a left hook on Massenburg's eye, wouldn't he? Martin. Massenburg got the rebound. He's fouled by Henderson. Henderson has 3 quick ones this half.
With his experience, he'd be a good corner man. Tony Massenburg that time only needed one eye to see that basketball as he went up with it strongly. Went up for it strongly.
Robert Bricky comes in, and Phil Henderson with 3 personals will take a break. Martin's got to hurry. Into Mustaf, who's triple team. Tion McCoy for 3. Tion rattles in his 3rd field goal, all 3 pointers.
Mustaf made an adjustment that time. Instead of turning and forcing the issue, recognized where the defenders were and hit Tion McCoy, who was standing wide open.
Maryland with their biggest second half lead. 5-point edge. Leitner, no good outside. Still be Duke ball on the baseline with 17 minutes to go in the game. There is the middleweight and super middleweight and one-time light heavyweight champion of the world.
What's that on his chest?
He's got a Maryland sweatshirt on. So a one-piece shirt. Of course, Ray Leonard, whose home still is in Maryland.
Well, he certainly got to appreciate good basketball, and that time, again, within the framework of the offense, Christian Leitner found himself an opportunity.
And the foul's on Williams, and that's his 3rd. So Leitner with a chance for the 3-point play.
You know, Brad, in the first half, we alluded to the tournament toughness of this Duke Blue Devil team. They've got guys like Robert Bricky and Phil Henderson and Ala Abdelnaby, who's got ACC tournament experience. Maryland, on the other hand, is pretty thin as far as experience goes. As Duke continues to apply the pressure, it'll be interesting to see how these guys without experience react.
They just barely got away without a turnover there. Massenburg tries to stick it back, and he's hammered underneath. I think Lubeck got it. Let's see the call from Dick Papar. That's it. Lubeck's 3rd. Gary Williams already the winningest first-year ACC coach ever, as he has 18 victories thus far in the season. Before that, the winningest first-year ACC coach, the guy on the other bench, Mike Krzyzewski. And Tony Massenburg with about an eye and a half set at the free throw line. Has to look out under that lid.
It's certainly going to have an effect on his free throw shooting. It's got to.
There's a great shot of the right eye of Massenburg.
Turn a little bit this way.
There he is.
That was the first Maryland miss from the free throw line.
Tony got the second one. He has 9 points. 56-53. Maryland by 3. Leitner got everybody up in the air and then put it down off the glass and scored. So Leitner with the last 5 Duke points.
Showing off his versatility, the ability to receive the ball at the free throw line, turn and face and put it on the floor.
Great entry pass to Martin.
Jesse Martin, known as a role player now, is getting involved in the offense and doing a great job.
Abdelnaby made a nice catch deep on the baseline and then scored with one hand. Abdelnaby was 6, so he and Leitner have started to come to life here in the second half. Martin pulls up. Jesse Martin's in the groove right now.
Well, Gary Williams will sing the praises of Jesse Martin as long as he can. He's the guy who comes in from Maryland and does exactly what they need to win. Whether it's play defense, get involved in the offense, anything.
Hurley up off the glass with a scoop shot. Bobby Hurley with 12. This is his best point output against Maryland this year. He had 7 in the first game and 10 in the overtime matchup.
Defensively, Tony Massenburg has kind of stepped behind a tree, so to speak. He's really not stepping out aggressively enough.
Here he is on offense. Short, Ricky way up with a rebound.
That's enabled Duke to get a couple of baskets in the paint, particularly with Hurley driving down the lane.
Leitner foul. No, Leitner is going to be called for the foul, as he must have thrown a hip check into Mustaf.
Well, I think the referee signaled that Leitner had hooked him from behind.
That's the call. You're right, Lenny. Mike Krzyzewski not too crazy about the call. We've got a timeout with 15:08 to go in the game. 60-59, Maryland by 1. We'll be back after this word from our good friends at Budweiser.
She's all ours. Going into business, got something new. Gonna paint the town, red, white, and blue. I'm coming through this bar.
Nice place. How about some customers?
Ladies' night.
Great place, guys. Who did your decorating?
Holly Farms, Newton Fisk, chicken inventor here. I've found a new way to make a better chicken. Only I have access to special Egyptian preservatives, which can make your chicken last forever. Give or take a week.
No way, Newton. Holly Farms chicken is always fresh chicken with no preservatives. Naturally meaty and juicy, just the way folks like it. No wonder we're America's #1 brand of fresh chicken.
I know. We pickle them. Hello?
At Holly Farms, we have a natural way with chicken.
If you stripped Ford Taurus of all its awards, erased all the glowing reviews, removed all evidence of its presence on the road, and introduced it today, Ford Taurus would still be ahead of its time.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
60-59 Maryland, and Bobby Hurley, who made some poor decisions at times in the first half, is starting to make some good ones.
Right, well, Duke recognizes that Tony Massenburg, with 3 fouls, is going to be very hesitant to step up. That's what I meant by hiding behind a tree. Here, getting back are all the Maryland big people, and Abdelnaby receives a nice pass from Hurley, who throws it from half court with his good eyesight and good recognition. But Tony Massenburg, again, a little hesitant to step up and play defense. He's been replaced by Cedric Lewis.
Shooting has not improved. In fact, it hasn't improved. It's gotten worse. But you never really know it when you look at the scoreboard or how this game has gone. It is a hard-fought, tight ball game, has been the whole way. The biggest lead's been 7. That was by Maryland. Tion McCoy.
Not enough credits given to the defense for both teams either.
Last touch by Thomas Hill, who's hustling on defense against Lewis.
There have been very few wide-open shots, such as the one McCoy took. Many times you've always got a hand in the face, whether it's Duke on defense or Maryland. Both teams doing a great job defensively.
Walt Williams, who had 18 points in the first half, at the point guarded by Davis. Duke now with a steal. Changed up their defense a bit. Abdelnaby picks it off. Back out top to Hill. Duke can lead in this game if they score. Hurley left alone. 15-footer.
I think Duke also recognized they could take the lead, and that time they made sure they got the best possible shot.
That's their first lead of the second half. Duke by 1.
Just a well-drilled team offensively, the Duke Blue Devils.
Martin's going to cross-court it to McCoy. And right back to Martin. And he'll take the 3. Too hard off, kept alive by Mustaf. Here's Lewis. And he's fouled going up. Foul will be on Thomas Hill.
I'm sure Thomas Hill would like that back. Cedric Lewis known to be pretty devastating underneath the basket, but from 10 to 12 feet, he's not really going to hurt you.
Foul situation in the ball games. Massenberg and Williams for Maryland, and Henderson and Hurley and Kubak all with 3. Massenberg's going to come back in now, and Gerard Mustaf will check out.
Well, what this does for Gary Williams, it gives a guy who has been active offensively a chance to go in and continue that. Maryland sorely needs it from production from the front line. And it also allows Mustaf to sit on the bench and watch this game and get back into it. As you see, the free throw shooting, as we mentioned, is pretty much even. And that has been the difference in the past 2 games. This game is very close right now. Maryland with a 1-point lead, and that's because they've more or less duplicated Duke's performance at the free throw line. But getting back to it, it allows Gerard Mustaf to get some perspective on the bench, and maybe he can come in and help if Massenberg gets the foul.
Hurley's 3. Just drilled it.
Tion McCoy's going to wake up now and realize he's not going to be able to help out anymore. That's what Bobby Hurley's doing, stretching the Maryland defense enough to allow Abdelnaby and Lakin to get inside.
Martin tried to keep it alive, and Hurley got the steal. Here comes a 4-on-2. Hurley leads it over for Henderson. Maybe too good a pass, or Henderson couldn't handle it anyway. Turnover Duke. But Bobby Hurley has matched in this game what he's done in the previous 2 combined against Maryland. He's got 17 points.
We take a look at Martin driving the baseline. Abdelnaby has a novel way of getting position.
Let Cedric Lewis have it in the back.
Duke now in seemingly a 1-3-1 zone, changing up on Maryland just a bit, making them think about it.
Abdelnaby takes off Martin's miss. Duke already has matched their biggest lead of the game. They're up by 2. And Hurley's going to pull up and take another one. That wasn't a bad shot. Everybody sagged off him. Abdelnaby is fouled as he went up. Duke wants a goaltending call. Broadnax picks up the foul. That's his second.
Well, Maryland, uncharacteristically, is starting to get beat off the boards right now. They lead the ACC in rebounding this year. Nevertheless, Duke has now decided that they're going to assert themselves, keeping the ball alive until somebody can gain possession on the offensive end.
Maryland averaging over 41 rebounds a game. Here's Abdelnaby. He hasn't had one of his bigger nights offensively, but he's had a good second half. 5 points in this half, 7 for the game. Back when Len Elmore played, Maryland averaged 49 rebounds a game.
Like I was telling you before, maybe they didn't shoot as well. There were more rebounds to get.
You and McMillan must have been up there with a big bottle of Windex, huh?
We got our share. We got our share.
Talking about rebounding. It's the top 5 in the conference. Dale Davis and Tony Massenberg, the only 2 guys that average double figures in both points and rebounding. And Leitner close behind. Henderson. And he is fouled as he shot by Walt Williams.
Well, Maryland seemingly is falling out of their defensive scheme. One of the things that's fundamental, and I'm sure Gary Williams teaches it, is that you don't foul the jump shoot.
That's just what Broadnax did. I stand corrected. It was not Williams. Broadnax picks up his 3rd. Duke already by 3, their biggest lead of the game. Henderson can add to it. That's his first point of the second half. He has 14 for the game.
I mean, you foul Phil Henderson shooting a jump shot. He's shooting 47, almost 48% from the field. But from the free throw line, he's shooting 81%. You're just giving him 2 points.
Well, 1.
We're playing the law of averages.
That's right.
There, probability.
It's a point well taken. Brad Nessler and Len Elmore with you.
He looks bad.
I'm not. I swear I'm not. Martin, one hand, no good. And Massenberg got the rebound and was fouled by Hurley, who's going to pick up his 4th.
Bobby Hurley hasn't learned the fine art of persuasion yet. You know, after getting a handful right there of a Maryland player, he's going to give him the 2 thumbs up sign. Like, hey, good play, right? Right? Oh, yeah, that's a great play. Thumbs up, hey, what did I do?
Tried to plead his case and lost it in a hurry, and he'll have to sit down with 4 personals, and we still have 12-14 to go. So McCaffrey will come in to play Hurley's guard spot.
See, Bobby's got to learn. He can't have that hangdog look after he does that and still give the thumbs up. He's got to be smiling and very affirmative when he does that. That's
right.
What persuades, you know.
The jury wouldn't buy it, would they?
Yeah, I've had some experience in that.
I know you have.
You'd be surprised with the jury buy, but not these officials. I wouldn't have any one of them on the jury.
There you go. Massenberg's in double figures now.
They're too decisive.
29 times in double figures this year for Tony Massenberg in 30 games, in 31 games, I should say. It's both, and that cuts the Blue Devils' lead to a pair.
Maryland's fortunes in the second half of the season have risen and fallen on how effective their pressure is full court.
Tough shot by Henderson, 2-pointer. He has 16. Again, Duke by 4. Walt Williams for 3, short. And Leitner in double figures and rebounds. Clears it off to Davis. 2-on-2. Does it himself.
Gary Williams has got to call a timeout. His offense is struggling right now, and defensively his press isn't turning anybody over for easy shots. They're in trouble.
Duke, their biggest lead of the game, 70-64.
It's very rich looking, very sleek. It has the look and feel of luxury, but it's something to be driven.
I think this Infiniti is going to make all the luxury car makers consider doing some serious redesign work on their vehicles.
The Q45 luxury sedan from Infiniti. If you have some time, we'd like to invite you for a test drive.
That's my son. You know, he could grow up to be one of the world's great doctors. Yeah, maybe a brain surgeon. Of course, that'd be years of medical school, big bucks. Maybe he'll just be a famous lawyer. And then there's law school, more big bucks. Actually, I think he'll make a great politician. He already knows how to get everything he wants.
Jefferson Pilot, Insurance and Financial Services.
The idea here is to offer a sports coupe for people who want all of the elements of style, all the prerequisites of luxury in one place at one price. We'd like to invite you for a test drive, the M30 Sports Coupe from Infiniti.
Biggest lead of the game for Duke, and Brian Davis off the bench, as we talked about at the top of the show, Len, can really help. He does here.
Duke turning the tables on Maryland. They now are getting the ball out quickly in transition, gaining those advantage situations where they can get some easy baskets. That's what's got them here. That and precise execution offensively. They're right now in the midst of a 13-4 run over the last 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
Jim Valvano, who's Wolfpack at North Carolina State, will meet Georgia Tech at our nightcap tonight, along with Fred Bearcat, the assistant commissioner of the ACC. Having a chat down on the baseline. State and Georgia Tech. That'll be a great one. Already today, if you've missed it, Clemson over Wake Forest, Virginia beat North Carolina, and here it's Duke by 6 over Maryland.
Rod Mustaf back in the game. I figure right now this is where Gary Williams is going to plead with him to give me something offensively inside.
Mustaf got it down low. Lewis got rattled a little bit. No foul call inside, and Duke will slow things down a bit. Long enough for Henderson to drive the baseline anyway, and he's fouled. This one's going to be on Lewis.
Duke is just taking the ball right to Maryland. Now they're being allowed to get in a lot further than they were in the first half. They're allowed to get into the paint off drive, off dribble penetration, and dishing off. They're doing all those things, putting a lot of pressure on the Maryland front line, and Maryland's really not stepping up to the line and handling the task very well.
Bill Henderson going for point number 17 and has it. And certainly he'll be considered as a possibility for our Holly Farms Players of the Game Award. We'll have that coming up later. Brought to you by Holly Farms, a proud sponsor of ACC basketball for 14 straight years. Senior from Union Park, Illinois, Phil Henderson. And he is on his average. In fact, he's just a shade past his season mark. And has the biggest lead in the ballgame for the Blue Devils, 8-point cushion. Lewis was all alone for a long time on the baseline. They finally got it to him, and he was fouled.
Well, that time Cedric Lewis getting a second chance. Went to the basket a little bit stronger, received it nicely, and went to the basket stronger. Duke playing a man-to-man that is spread by the Maryland offense right there. And that's what you do when you spread it. The player's a little bit late getting to the help side. But Lewis did a nice job after fumbling the last play of getting the ball and going up strong.
Hill, who picked up his third foul, goes out, and Bricky comes in. Lewis has hit his 2 free throws tonight that he's attempted. Thomas Hill listens closely on the Duke bench, a freshman from Lancaster, Texas. Lewis 3 out of 4 from the stripe, and it is a 7-point Duke lead. Nice pass from McCaffrey down low to Bricky. Bricky in double figures with 10.
Well, Maryland's just not regrouping defensively quickly enough because the Duke passers are recognizing the openings from half court. That's not even giving the defense a chance to set up.
Let's stop. Baseline. Can't get it. Broadnax. Fouled by Laettner.
Well, for Gerard Mustaf, the only thing you can call it is buzzer luck. He's got a number of those go in and out on him. That's got to hurt his confidence a bit.
They're going to call a foul on McCaffrey, apparently.
Number 40, Vince Broadnax at the line for Maryland.
And Broadnax at the free throw line. Broadnax already with a career-high night. 10 points, all in the first half. And was 6 for 6 from the free throw line before that one came off. Rattled around and dropped for him. 8-point Duke lead. Henderson and McCaffrey playing the guard spots. Hurley on the bench with 4 fouls. McCaffrey, he likes to play offense too. That might have been hurried just a bit. Mustaf clears it off.
You notice the Duke players, after they get a miss, it's rebounded by Maryland. They're what they call stuffing the rebounder. You see the steal there by Laettner, not allowing that first outlet pass to get to half court, and that slowed Maryland's offense down tremendously.
Davis, they sag off him on the outside. Here's a feed in low to Laettner. Got Massenberg up in the air, put it off the glass.
And with 3 fouls, Matzenberg has got to recognize he's going to have to be rooted and not get put up off his feet, because that makes him foul prone and also gives Leitner an advantage if he saw there.
Mostov got it. And he's fouled. That was kind of a prayer. I'm going to put it up there, hope it goes in, and hope I get fouled and everything worked for it.
Under normal conditions or playground conditions, he probably wouldn't even want that one. That was the first that was the first bucket that he's gotten from the floor, and he didn't even look at the basket. But Maryland's still trying to get something out of him. As we see, he didn't even look at the hoop when he put that one up. Still trying to get something out of Gerard Mustaf, who's been real quiet.
And he has a chance to complete the three-point play. 5 points for Mustaf, all in this half. 7-point Duke lead. We approach 9.5 minutes to go. McCaffrey with some trouble in the backcourt. Duke clears it ahead. Henderson flies in.
Maryland doing an awful lot of reaching out there. Mustaf stepped up and gave the old Matador attempt at the offensive player Henderson. That left him wide open.
Tion McCoy, it's a 3, his 4th of the game. That helps Maryland's cause, 78-72. Again, Duke having more trouble in the backcourt without Hurley in there. The lob to Leitner. And knocked away by Broadnax. Abdelnaby will check back in. Leitner will sit down. He's a little frustrated by his offensive night, although he's had a good second half, and he's in double figures now in points and rebounds. Ricky, they're going to say was tripped. Think they're going to call it on Mustaf or who?
Well, Walt Williams is doing the bulk of the complaining.
It's Walt Williams, you're right, Len. That's his 4th. That's worth a complaint.
Well, the call was tripping right there. Williams attempting to cut off the driver, Robert Bricky, got in a little too late, and Bricky and he had a cross-up of legs.
Stepped on the top of Bricky's foot, and down he went, so he'll go to the line with 8:53 to go in the game. Duke 78, Maryland 72. Possession arrow is in Maryland's favor right now. As you look at the brace on Robert Bricky's knee, kept him out of 8 games this year.
With Walt Williams getting his 4th personal, that takes an awful lot of the aggressiveness out of him, whether it's offense or defense. Particularly offensively, if he's going to handle the bulk of the ball and moving the ball and getting it to people on the offense, he's got to be very careful of what type of penetration he makes, the type of movements he makes. But the Duke defenders aren't hesitant in trying to take that charge.
Ricky has 12, and again it's Duke by 8. Williams in low to Mustaf. He's followed by Abdelnaby going up. First foul on Abdelnaby. We're already assured that there will not be a repeat of the ACC title game in Atlanta a year ago, because North Carolina already beaten by Virginia today. Clemson over Wake Forest. Duke trying to advance to that title game that they lost last year to the Tar Heels. And Maryland trying to pull an upset here. Mustaf's hit 4 straight free throws now. 4th-ranked Syracuse survives the Pitt Panthers in the Big East tournament. Gerard Mustaf has 7 points all in this half. Jesse Martin's going to come back in. Martin was an early offensive force. Broadnax with the backcourt pressure.
Well, as it stands, Gary Williams is happy with the way Broadnax is playing Phil Henderson, so he believes that he can now trust Jesse Martin on Billy McCaffrey for the time being.
Henderson wanted everybody to clear out, and Broadnax picked him off after 1 dribble. And that time it's going to be an offensive foul as Henderson pushed off. He has 4 fouls all this half.
Broadnax just gives Gary Williams so much here defensively. He knows when he goes in the game that's his focus. That's what he has to do best in order to stay in the game. Henderson with a little bit of an elbow there to push off and get free for the jump shot. And those types of harassing things are the things that slow down the big scorers at times. Makes you think.
Henderson's going to stay in there, though. So Duke right now with Bricky, Abdelnaby, Leitner, McCaffrey, and Henderson. Listov, Martin, who has it now, Rodnax, and Massenberg. Thrown away. Well, a scramble for it. Maryland's going to keep it. Listov over Leitner. Can't get it. Foul on Leitner underneath.
The ball seems to be bouncing Maryland's way, at least that trip down. It goes inside the mustache. Still not much luck inside, but good rebound position by Jesse Martin.
Free throw shooting in the game. Maryland at over 90%. Duke almost 83%. Leitner with his third personal. And here's Martin, who has hit both of his free throws tonight.
You're shaking your head, Brad. Why?
These poor kids, every time I mention they haven't missed, they miss. Almost without fail.
It's your job to report the facts. Just the facts, son. Just the facts.
Martin for his 13th point, and he can't get it. And Leitner with another rebound. 7:45 to play, and Duke by 6. 80-74. Leitner in, and he's fouled on the way to the hoop. Massenberg's going to pick up his fourth as we get another look at it.
That's so valuable. He does kind of shuffle his feet a little bit at the start. No one takes a look at it. Hops on a bicycle, but he really puts it on the floor nicely, though, going to his right. And that's something that you've got to respect. Now, if you're Tony Massenberg, if you drop off like that, there's no way in the world that you can't cut him off without fouling. You've got to be just focused defensively on doing that. Make him take the jump.
Leitner's hit his last 2 free throws, and on the night is 5 of 7 from the line. Foul trouble in the ball game. See Williams and Massenberg each with 4. Hurley and Henderson likewise. And the ACC's top free throw shooters have a little trouble here at the Charlotte Coliseum tonight. 7-point Duke lead. We approach the 7.5-minute mark, and Rodnax just walked with it. Got up in the air and decide what to do. And that'll turn it back over to the Duke Blue Devils after this timeout with 7:30 to go in the ball game. 81-74. Back after this from our good friends at Budweiser.
Man, what a day. I could sure use a vacation.
Yeah, I'd like to be right here.
Ice cold buds.
Hey, maybe tomorrow we should bring the boss.
Nah.
It's easy to see what Ford Aerostar has over Chevy Lumina APV because under Aerostar's exterior is a truly versatile minivan with 23% more cargo room than Lumina. Under here, 20% more horsepower and over 2 times the towing capacity. Under here, rear anti-lock brakes Lumina doesn't even offer. And this Aerostar is priced $952 under Lumina. Ford Aerostar. The facts are overwhelming.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
This memory is brought to you by Unical. Since 1951, we fueled more NASCAR winners than all other gasolines combined. And we put that same high performance and winning spirit into gasolines for your car.
What you say we take her for a spin, Murph?
Richard.
7-point Duke lead with 7.5 to play. Brad Nessler and Len Elmore with you. The Charlotte Coliseum, the 37th annual ACC Tournament. We talked about free throw shooting when we started this game. And you see Maryland is getting a little more opportunity tonight.
Well, they've got the benefit at the free throw line. Now their problem is getting field goals, particularly against this swarming Duke defense that's not allowing an awful lot to go inside. And when it does go inside, Gerard Mustaf, who is the center of attention at this point, is really not able to convert.
Boy, Maryland's going to need all the free throws they can get because they're shooting 24% from the floor this half. Brother. Laettner's going to hold it. Wait for a better opportunity. Henderson thinks he has it. Got up in the air and has his 22nd point. Gary Williams wanted a up and down call, a traveling violation. Let Dick Paparo know that on the way down court. But it is still a 9-point Duke lead, matching their biggest of the night. They wave it off. Offensive foul. Abdelnaby may have gotten away with a bit of an acting job.
I mean, of course, people are going to accuse me of being partisan. But you got to look at that. There was contact, no question about it. But the officials just didn't recognize, as you say, the act. It's really hard for a guy that size, the 250, to bounce back that hard from a little push in the gut. And as I say, people are going to say I'm partisan. I'm just calling it the way I see it, folks. I don't want any letters.
You and I spent about half the day Tuesday in a officiating seminar and talked about that very call, didn't we? Absolutely. Henderson for three. You got it. Rick's trying to follow. Laettner's going to get another opportunity. And Laettner's had an excellent second half. He has 13 points. And he got about that many rebounds, too.
And he certainly positioned himself underneath the basket as Gary Williams calls for time to talk it over.
Biggest lead of the ball game for the Duke Blue Devils. Up by 11, 85-74 with 6:32 to play.
Mazda won't be shouting about its spring sales event. Why? Just look at this MX-6 GT. Roomier and more powerful than Honda Prelude SI at price $936 less. And now get any MX-6 and get $1,000 cash back, plus air or automatic at no extra charge. With up to $1,810 in value, you don't have to shout.
Well, maybe just a little.
At your local Mazda dealers now.
It seems like an eternity, but it's only a brief moment. The big shot. From outside the three-point line, it could win the game. From this moment until Tuesday, Lowe's is having a special tournament sale. Get a bag of slow-release fertilizer for just $4.83. Bags of pine bark mulch, only $1.64 each. And azaleas in assorted colors, just 97 cents each. This Lowe's sale won't last long, but like the three-point shot, the results can be very rewarding.
It takes all the right moves to find lower grocery prices. Getting around gimmicks like double coupons or contests. Not being faked out by supermarkets with a few hot weekly specials. You'll catch them charging too much for everything else you buy. Besides, if you're shooting for low grocery prices, it's not how you play the game.
I gotta get to the meeting. So, next basket wins?
Sure. It's whether you win or lose.
Duke in command, 85-74 with 6:32 to play. Brad Nessler and Len Elmore with you. The Charlotte Coliseum. In the first half, Walt Williams was the Maryland offense with 18 points. He has got a big goose egg on offense here in the second half.
A lot of it has to do with the great Duke defense that's forced him to give the ball up, but also in picking up a number of fouls. He's lost his aggressiveness. He's been tentative offensively.
You're right, he does have 4 fouls. There he is at the point. Mustaf can't get it. Laettner has his 11th rebound to go with 13 points. And all of a sudden, he has had quite a game. Bobby Hurley hasn't been in for, what, about 10 minutes, seems like.
Not only is Duke right now trying to cut a little bit of time off each possession, they also gave a signal they want a motion type of offense. Get the Maryland defenders, who are already anxiety-ridden, trying to get the ball, get them working and expending some energy to make it easier down the stretch.
Caffrey way out near midcourt. Tiana McCoy there on him in the man-to-man. Anderson lost it going up, fouled by Martin. It's a third on Martin. Now at 5:33 to play, and the Blue Devils up by 11. Maryland needs some instant offense here pretty soon.
Well, defensively will probably be the way they stop it before they get the instant offense. But again, here's where the fouls probably come into play over the 2 games past, is that when Maryland gets down, they have to get out there and they have to start playing much tighter defense. They have to gamble. And the way that Duke is schooled and drilled offensively, you know, they're going to be in a position every time to get the shot or be fouled.
Phil Henderson, who had one of his better offensive games of the year against Maryland in the overtime game. He had 26 in that one. He's got 23 tonight. Make it 24. And now it's a 13-point Duke lead. Biggest lead of the night by either team. And a steal by Bricky. Trying to find the handle. Finally does. And scores. So the second-seeded Duke Blue Devils starting to run it up now, and they're playing good defense.
Well, I'm sure they're dancing in Durham right now. Robert Bricky, great anticipation, going to the basket strongly. Walt Williams, again, from the middle of the floor, making a bad decision. It's a much better angle if he moves over a bit and the receiver steps up to meet the ball. But if you just lay it out there, Robert Bricky's going to eat you up.
And Bricky completes the three-point play. Continues to swell for the Duke Blue Devils. And Abdelnabi picks up a foul.
He doesn't agree with the call. But the officials trying to keep it clean inside.
There's a foul. So it's been a physical one. Tony Massenberg will go to the free throw line. Tony's going to wake up tomorrow morning and he's only going to see about half the room. His right eye is about half shut. They're taking a shot in the eye in the final minute of the first half. May have had something to do with his free throw sights. Approaching 5 minutes to play, and it's 90-74 Duke. Duke with some motion here in their offense to use some clock.
Duke has gotten by in great fashion, utilizing their superior quickness, particularly out at the guard and small forward position. They've recognized great mismatches every time and taken advantage of it. And then when Maryland failed to hit offensively, Duke turned every turnover and every defensive rebound into a great opportunity for an easy basket.
92-74. 18-point Duke lead with 4:32 to play. We'll be back in a moment.
A Ranger never takes the easy way out.
You're reaching deep inside you for things you've never known. Go!
That's why getting into the Rangers is tough and the training's tough.
Be all that you can be.
So it makes me feel like I'm part of something really special.
Be all that you can be.
And I'm not the only one.
Get your life in the Army.
This memory is brought to you by Unocal. Since 1951, we fueled more NASCAR winners than all other gasolines combined. And we put that same high performance and winning spirit into gasolines for your car.
What you say we take her for a spin, Murph?
Richard.
ACC Basketball has been brought to you by Pepsi, Food Lion, and by First Union National Bank. Accommodations provided by Hilton Hotels, which offers frequent travelers the fastest route to a free hotel stay. Call 1-800-HILTONS for details.
A 12-0 run for the Duke Blue Devils has carried them to their biggest lead of the night, an 18-point cushion with 4:32 left to play. And Duke has started to put it inside, going to the paint, and scoring with it, Len.
And the way they've been able to do it is capitalize on the Maryland turnovers and misses with the fast break. And when they have to run their half-court offense, they've been looking and running within the framework of their offense for their big people.
Massenberg misses, and Bricky brings it off for Duke.
And whether it's off the dribble penetration by Henderson or getting it to Leitner at the free throw line when he can turn and face and put it on the floor, Duke has outplayed Maryland just about at every phase of the game in the second half after being tied at halftime. And it wasn't, again, that Duke played so poorly in the first half. They just picked it up, stepped up to another level in the second half and executing their offense and extending their defense to create their easy opportunities on the other end.
Of course, something Mike Krzyzewski's known for is getting his troops to turn it up that extra notch, especially on defense. Leon McCoy, did he pick up the steal? Yes, he did. Last touch by McCaffrey on the baseline. Mike Krzyzewski, who has averaged 27 wins, his teams per season the last 7 years, and this would be their 24th if they beat Maryland, and they appear on their way to that 24th win. Massenberg. Tony Massenberg with 13.
Against the zone that time, Maryland ran a nice little offensive set. But again, what Duke has forced Maryland to do is to run half court most of these halves. And we mentioned it's just what they don't want to do, play a half court game. Duke took away the pressure, came back and set up half court, and Maryland was forced to execute, which they don't do well.
Leitner. Stripped it, and Abdelnaby picks it up. The 3-minute mark, the Blue Devils again will use some clock. With an 18-point lead, 94-76. And Duke already over their points per game average. Came in averaging almost 91. They have 94 already, and Bricky will have a chance to add to it. And I think that's it for Williams. He will foul out. That's the second time in 3 games he's fouled out this year against Duke. And he leads with 18 points, but all of them came in the first half. Maryland, still a possibility of an NCAA bid at the end of this game, because it is pretty obvious now they're not going to advance in the ACC tournament.
I don't think the chances are any more improved, certainly. And maybe a closer game or a Maryland win would have put them over the top. But here, with this type of deficit and the way they played the second half, it would be very difficult for them, I think, to enter the tournament this year.
Mike Anderson checks in, so maybe an NIT bid waiting for Maryland. They'll wait until the selection situation on Sunday night. Everybody will know between 6:30 and 7 or so where and who will be playing in the NCAA tournament. For now, the ACC tournament, Duke is going to move on. As Bricky hits a free throw, he's hit 6 in a row from the line.
Had a chance to look at Walt Williams and some of the other guys on the Maryland bench. A lot of them deep in thought as to what could have been.
Here's Tony Massenberg in low, had it blocked by Leitner, got it back, and that one they will take away. Bricky goaltends. Tony Massenberg now with 15 points.
Robert Bricky hadn't got enough jumping today. He really wanted to get loose on that one.
Henderson ahead to Hurley, who just checked back in. Davis doesn't get the slam, but Duke has another chance to move it around and use more of what remains on a clock showing 2:10 to go. Out at 25 on the shot clock and just under 2 minutes on the game clock. (95-78). Duke, the top free throw shooting team in the ACC, and have 4 of the top 10 in the conference. And there you look at the numbers. From Abdelnaby through Hurley, Henderson, and Leitner, who came in tops in the ACC, but have struggled a little bit from the line tonight. Phil Henderson sits down with a big evening, 24 points. for the senior. Davis clangs one off the back iron. Massenburg got it ahead to Anderson, and now the pull-up jumper is good for 3. Early Young hits from outside. Maryland desperate for some steals and some three-pointers, but they are trailing by 14 with 1:35 now to go in the game. Foul will be on Tion McCoy. Tion McCoy picks up his 4th. There's a couple of happy Duke seniors, Ricky and Abdelnaby, and Layton, the sophomore, who had the excellent second half. Henderson with 24. And on the other side, the faces are not so happy. Maryland set to go to 18 and 13. But a much better Maryland team than a year ago. They have really improved over the course of the last year under first-year coach Gary Williams.
Certainly much better than anticipated. It took a lot of people by surprise in the second half of the season with the improvement that they made, the improved attitude that they had. And you got to give a lot of credit to Gary Williams, who stuck with him, found a lineup that he could work with and do some things with, and stayed with it.
16-point Duke lead. Tony Massenburg up in the air, no good, but he's fouled. And this one will go on McCaffrey. McCaffrey's 4th. There's Gary Williams.
Gary Williams is giving a couple of officials an earful, as he's doing right there. And you got to believe that's for all game, not just for that one play. This is his chance to really rant and rave. It's not a situation where an official is going to give him a technical unless he gets wholly out of hand. But he's going to let him let off some steam right now.
Massenburg. Well, he's having trouble from the free throw line in this half, although still at 50% from the line this half, 3 out of 6.
And after letting off steam, he more or less throws in the towel by putting in a couple of players, including Curly Young, Everett Burns, and Mitch Kasoff, who's a senior. See Gerard Mustaff right there. Can't be very happy with his play today.
Tony Massenburg is going to go out. And Cedric Lewis comes in. So
Tony Massenburg gets a hand from the Maryland faithful out there. Pretty much not only for his play out on the floor today, but for the 4 years that he endured being a player at the University of Maryland.
And he was a fun one to watch, Tony Massenburg. He's going to check back in. I thought we had seen all we were going to see of him tonight, but he's coming back in. Kasoff picked up the foul. Mustafa back in, Tion McCoy, Young, Massenburg, and Anderson for Maryland. Joe Cook, Thomas Hill, Greg Kubek, Bobby Hurley, Brian Davis. A young, small lineup for Duke, and they can afford that with the 15-point lead with 1:12 to go.
Gary Williams just yanked that towel back off the floor, didn't he? Give me that back.
Cook hits the free throw. Abdelnaby. That's not Gary Williams' towel. That's Alice. Comes out on Cook. Massenburg another rebound. Gotta start taking some threes and doing it quickly. Mustaf's going to take the first one. Not even close. Massenburg follows with a left hand. Brian Davis wisely pulls up with less than a minute to go. There's about a 6-second difference on the shot clock and the game clock. Duke, if they hit it, they'll hit the century mark. There it is. 100-84. Curly Young. Mike Anderson got it, had it stuck back by Hill. Here comes a 3-on-1. Curly behind the back. Davis fouled by Massenburg. And that is going to do it now for Tony Massenburg because he's just fouled out with 18 points. Tony Massenburg, and he's getting a standing ovation from the Maryland faithful here tonight.
Maybe that's why Gary Williams put him back in. That the last exit really didn't do Tony Massenburg justice because he came out with a bunch of other guys. Now he gets a solo performance.
Another good night for Tony Massenburg. With the 18 points, he also has a dozen rebounds. Brian Davis adding to the Blue Devils total. 101-84. Their biggest lead, 18. They're about to match it here if Davis hits to put himself in double figures. Well, the Duke Blue Devils set to advance. Maryland down to about one shot. Well, they may not get the one. It's like Hurley to Davis. That's the way Duke will end it. The Blue Devils move on in the ACC tournament. After a 48-48 halftime tie, the Duke Blue Devils get it in gear and win it going away by 20. Mike Krzyzewski with some words for the senior Tony Massenburg, who's played his final ACC tournament game. Coach K's Blue Devils hoping to get back to the title round. They've got an opponent tomorrow yet to get through, but they win it tonight. 104-84, Duke a winner over the Maryland Terrapins.